So there are some important updates for Dogecoin coming from the US government, and I think this is exactly what every Dogecoin holder needs to know. So we know that the US Federal Reserve recently announced that they are going to aggressively dial back its bond buying as they are seeing inflation rate hikes during next year. And they are also going to increase the interest rates. And the other important thing is that the Fed indicated that it would start phasing out its pandemic stimulus program while increasing the interest rates in 2022. And just recently, Jeremy Siegel, a finance professor at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, has warned about rising inflation this year. And he also warned about the Fed hiking interest rates many more times than the market expects. And while warning about rising inflation in the US, Jeremy Siegel highlighted the fact that Bitcoin is going to perform as a solid hedge against inflation. He also said that Bitcoin has become the new gold for the millennials. And he thinks that more and more younger investors are turning to Bitcoin to use it as an inflation hedge. And this is why he thinks that Bitcoin has replaced gold and it is the new gold for the millennials. Moreover, we are now seeing that previously anti-crypto investors are increasingly turning to Bitcoin and other cryptos like Dogecoin to take them as a hedge against fiat currency inflation concerns. For example, Hungary-born billionaire Thomas Peterffy has recently stated that he will prefer to have 2 to 3% of his portfolio in crypto assets to counter inflation. Similarly, Bridgewater Associates founder Ray Dalio also revealed his portfolio recently, and he revealed that he is holding some Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the interesting thing is that this revelation came just a few months after he questioned crypto's properties as a store of value. So it appears that he has now changed that stance and views crypto investments as alternative money in a world where inflation is eroding purchasing power. And in late December, Dalio talked about how he was impressed by seeing cryptos lasting the previous decade. In fact, he said that he thinks that fiat currency, which most investors think is the safest investment, has become the worst investment. So the point here is that more and more investors and billionaires are already seeing the danger signs with fiat currencies and central bank manipulation. And this is why they are increasingly turning to cryptos like Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And this is exactly why I think that the year 2022 is going to see more wealthy investors join their ranks. And another important thing that I'd like to mention here is that Bitcoin bull Anthony Pompliano believes that Bitcoin is now correlated with the US 10-year Treasury yield. He believes that the US 10-year yield has been highly correlated with Bitcoin for nearly 2 years. So if the US 10-year yield experiences a breakout from here, the price of Bitcoin will move up. So as we are now seeing that inflation is rising in the US and the Fed is going to increase the interest rates, this is a good thing for cryptos like Dogecoin and Bitcoin. This is because a recent study by the Deutsche Bank has revealed that when there is an interest rate hike by the Fed, stocks keep hiking. The survey has basically explained that since 1955, every time when the Fed has increased interest rates, the stocks don't go down and they continue to go up for at least 9 to 10 months. And this also impacts the crypto market in a similar way. And this is why I think it's going to have more and more positive outcomes on the crypto market. So the point here is that the rising inflation and interest rates are going to be pretty bullish for cryptos. This is because what's going to happen is the Fed is now printing more and more money. And as a result, inflation is going to go out of control. And that's going to let more and more people actually come into the crypto market. So I think this bullish development is now going to help the overall crypto market come out from its recent dip. And another very positive thing we are now seeing for cryptos is that it is expected that more and more people are now going to prefer getting paid in cryptos in 2022. In fact, we already saw in 2021 that more and more people were preferring their paychecks in cryptos. In fact, we saw that even firms were attracting potential employees by offering salaries in cryptos. And this rising trend of getting paid in cryptos has also emerged due to rising inflation concerns. So the point is that inflation is not only helping in more and more investment in cryptos, it is also increasing their utility. And as a result, we are seeing that cryptos like Bitcoin and Dogecoin are witnessing massive adoption in almost every sector throughout the world. And now let's come to Bitcoin for a minute as we are seeing some huge updates for it. So crypto analyst Bobby Axel has just shared this Bitcoin price chart. And he is saying that the whole pattern that Bitcoin is going to make is going to be very bullish. And as you can see on this chart, Bitcoin is going to move up from here. And we are going to see Bitcoin trading around the 58 to 60K price range in mid to late January. And then Bitcoin will see the first pullback to about 48 to 50K range during the first week of February. And then we will see it retesting to a new all-time high in late February or early March. So the point is that Bobby Axel has predicted that Bitcoin is going to hit a new all-time high during late February and early March. And I think that this is pretty good for Bitcoin and the overall market. And Dogecoin, in particular, will follow Bitcoin's upward trajectory owing to its high price correlation with Bitcoin. And now we are also seeing that the hash rate of Bitcoin has fully recovered from the Great Migration over 6 months ago. And we know that when China kicked out the crypto miners from the country, the whole mining rate tanked right there. And it was looking back then that the mining rate was not going to recover from there. But the good thing is that Bitcoin miners have defied all the odds. And we are seeing right now that the whole Bitcoin mining hash rate has recovered dramatically in the last 6 months. And it is now going back up. This is because Bitcoin miners are not selling their mining equipment and they are actually taking loans against their Bitcoin and buying more equipment. And this is why the whole mining operation has not halted, and it is now recovering dramatically. So this is a pretty huge catalyst for Bitcoin. And this is why it is now more likely that Bitcoin is going to move up anytime soon. And now we have another bullish indicator for Bitcoin. So as per Crypto Caesar, Bitcoin is now creating higher lows with the bullish structure still intact, and he has advised crypto holders not to be worried about the recent dip in the market. And he believes that the bull run is not over for Bitcoin, and 2022 is going to be an epic year for Bitcoin and the overall market. And as you can see in this chart, we have a huge bullish structure to the upside on the weekly chart of Bitcoin. And this is looking pretty good for Bitcoin, as it means that Bitcoin is not going for a bearish trend from here. And this is not it. Things are now looking better for Bitcoin because the amount of Bitcoin on all exchanges has been decreasing. And as you can see here, the Bitcoin exchange balance data from the March 2020 crash until now is actually showing that the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges has been decreasing. And as we know that in 2020, we had a huge crash when the amount of Bitcoin fell off of exchanges, and then Bitcoin went up massively in terms of its price. And now we are again seeing the balance of Bitcoin on all exchanges has decreased by almost 590K since 14 February 2020. So this is a good sign for Bitcoin and its holders. And this is yet another indicator indicating that Bitcoin is now poised to move up from here. So the point of all this discussion is that things are now nicely shaping up for Bitcoin. However, this doesn't mean that Bitcoin is now going to surge right away. I think holders still have to exercise some patience here. Holders should be focusing on holding their crypto right now. And as I said in my previous video, Bitcoin is highly likely to move up sometime in the first and second quarters of this year. And I think that the phase from March to May is going to be pretty important for it. And as I said before, if Bitcoin goes up, then it is highly likely that Dogecoin will follow the suit. Moreover, we have just seen how inflation is going to rise further, and how major investors and firms are now coming to the crypto market to hedge against this rising inflation. So this is a very good thing for Dogecoin, and I think that this is going to help Doge thrive during this year and beyond. And I'd like to mention here that I have been talking about bullish things for Dogecoin in my recent videos. And the thing is that this is just my analysis based on all this data and updates. And each of these things is pointing us towards a bullish outlook for Dogecoin. Still, I think that just like Bitcoin, Doge holders should also exercise some patience here, and they should wait for the March to May phase because that is looking like a pretty bullish phase for Doge. In any case, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the rising inflation is going to help Dogecoin to surge in the future? Let me know in the comments section below.